You know, there are moments in life when everything you thought you knew about the world just crumbles. When all your wealth, all your connections, all your power becomes as meaningless as dust in the wind. I'm Marcus Blackwood, and I used to think money could solve anything. I was wrong. Let me tell you about my son, Adrian. Beautiful boy, 16 years old, with eyes that sparkled like stars, and a laugh that could light up the darkest room. He was everything to me after his mother passed 5 years ago. Adrian was brilliant, not just book smart, but wise beyond his years. He had this way of seeing the world that made even the most cynical person believe in goodness again. 3 months ago, on a Tuesday morning that started like any other, Adrian collapsed during breakfast. One moment he was telling me about a book he was reading, something about ancient philosophers, and the next, silence. Complete, terrifying silence. The doctors called it acute cerebral shutdown. Fancy words for something they couldn't explain. His brain just stopped communicating properly. The neurologists at Mount Sinai shook their heads. The specialists I flew in from Johns Hopkins wore the same confused expressions. Even Dr. Elizabeth Kane, the woman who literally wrote the textbook on neurological disorders, stood at the foot of Adrian's bed with tears in her eyes. "Mr. Blackwood," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I've never seen anything like this. His brain activity is minimal, but it's not a typical coma. It's as if he's choosing not to wake up." Choosing not to wake up. Those words haunted me for weeks. I spent millions, and I mean millions, bringing in every expert, every piece of cutting-edge technology money could buy. I had brain imaging equipment that NASA would envy installed in a private wing of the hospital. I contacted billionaire tech mogul David Rothschild, the man who revolutionized neural interface technology. He flew in personally with his team and their experimental consciousness mapping devices. For 6 weeks, we tried everything. Electrical stimulation, experimental drugs, music therapy, even experimental treatments from research facilities in Switzerland and Japan. Nothing. Adrian lay there, breathing steadily, his heart beating strong, but his beautiful mind seemed locked away somewhere I couldn't reach. The nights were the worst. I'd sit beside his bed in that sterile hospital room, holding his hand, talking to him about everything and nothing. I'd tell him about the business deals I was working on, about the new charity foundation I was setting up in his mother's name, about the books I thought he'd like to read when he woke up. Always when, never if. I refused to accept it. But as the days turned into weeks, even the most optimistic doctors began using words like permanent and long-term care facility. The word if crept into more and more conversations, despite my protests. It was on a Thursday evening exactly 7 weeks after Adrian's collapse when she appeared. I was alone in the room. I'd sent the private nurses home because I needed the quiet. The late shift doctor had just finished his rounds, and the hospital had settled into that peculiar silence that only comes after visiting hours. I was reading aloud from The Alchemist, one of Adrian's favorite books, when I heard the softest knock on the door. "Come in," I called, expecting perhaps a nurse with medication schedules. Instead, a young girl slipped through the door. She couldn't have been more than 12 or 13, with skin the color of warm honey and the most extraordinary dark eyes I'd ever seen. Her hair was braided with colorful beads that caught the fluorescent light, and she wore a simple white dress that had seen better days. But what struck me most was that she was completely barefoot. "Excuse me," I said, standing up quickly. "This is a private room. Visiting hours are over, and I don't think—" "You're Marcus," she said simply, and her voice had this quality to it, like wind chimes on a summer evening. "And this is Adrian." She walked past me as if she belonged there, moving with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly. Her feet made no sound on the cold hospital floor. "How do you know our names?" I asked. But she was already standing beside Adrian's bed, looking down at him with an expression of profound sadness and understanding. "He's very far away," she said softly, reaching out to touch his forehead with the gentlest fingers. "But he's not lost. Not yet."
Who are you? How did you get in here? Security in this hospital was tighter than Fort Knox. I'd made sure of that.
She turned to look at me, and in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope, not the desperate, grasping hope I'd been clinging to, but something deeper, calmer, more certain. "My name is Zara," she said, "and I'm here because Adrian called to me." "Called to you? He's been unconscious for 7 weeks. "Not that kind of calling, Mr. Blackwood," she smiled, and it was like sunrise after the longest night. The kind that hearts make when they're ready to come home, but don't know the way. I should have called security. I should have demanded explanations. Instead, I found myself sinking back into my chair, suddenly exhausted by weeks of fighting, of hoping, of trying to control the uncontrollable. The doctors say there's nothing more they can do, I heard myself saying. Doctors know a lot about bodies, Zara replied, settling into the chair on the other side of Adrian's bed as if she'd sat there 1,000 times before. But hearts are different. Hearts speak a language that doesn't need words. She reached for Adrian's hand, and I noticed her own hands were calloused, like she'd worked hard despite her young age. Tell me about him, she said. Not the medical stuff. Tell me about Adrian. And so I did. For the first time in 7 weeks, I talked about my son not as a patient or a case study, but as the remarkable young man he was. I told her about how he'd comfort me after his mother died, how he'd insist we feed the homeless every Christmas morning, how he'd spend hours reading to kids at the children's hospital downtown. He sounds like someone who carries a lot of love, Zara said when I finished, but also a lot of pain. Pain, Adrian's always been happy. When his mama died, she interrupted gently, you both carried that grief, but you carried yours where everyone could see it. You cried, you raged, you threw yourself into work and charity. Adrian carried his deeper, didn't he? He became the strong one, the one who took care of you. I felt something crack inside my chest. He never wanted to burden me with his sadness. Even at 11 years old, he was more concerned about my grief than his own. And when someone carries sadness that deep for that long, Zara said, her young voice carrying ancient wisdom, sometimes they just get tired. Sometimes they need permission to rest. But I need him, I whispered, and for the first time in weeks, I felt tears coming. I can't lose him too. I can't lose both of them. Have you told him that? What? Have you told Adrian that you need him? That you can't lose him? That it's okay for him to be sad about his mama? That he doesn't have to be strong for you anymore? I stared at her. He's unconscious. He can't hear me. Zara smiled again, that luminous smile that seemed to light up the sterile room. Oh, Mr. Blackwood! He can hear everything. He's just waiting for you to say the things that matter. She stood up then, moving around the bed to where I sat. Talk to him. Not about business, or books, or all the things you think he should hear. Talk to him about the scary stuff, the real stuff. Talk to him about your fear, about how much you miss his mama, about how proud you are of the man he's becoming. Talk to him about love.
I don't know how.
Yes, you do. She placed her small hand on my shoulder, and I felt warmth spread through me like I was sitting by a fireplace. You're his daddy. You've always known how. And then she did something that changed everything. She began to sing. Friends, we're about to witness the most powerful moment in this story, the moment when love breaks through the impossible. But before we continue, I want to ask you something. Have you ever experienced a moment like this? A time when someone appeared in your life exactly when you needed them most? If this story is touching your heart the way it's touching mine, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this video with someone who needs to hear about miracles, about hope, about the power of love to overcome the darkest circumstances. And in the comments below, tell me about your own Zara moment, that unexpected angel who showed up in your life when you needed them most. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Now, let's witness the miracle that changed everything. It wasn't a song I recognized, but it was hauntingly beautiful. The melody seemed to fill every corner of the room, every corner of my heart. It sounded like lullabies and church hymns and love songs all woven together. As she sang, I felt the walls I'd built around my grief beginning to crumble. I looked at Adrian, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw past the medical equipment and the pallor of his skin. I saw my little boy who used to crawl into my bed after nightmares, who would hold my hand during his mother's funeral, who had never once in 5 years complained about the weight of being my only family. Adrian, I whispered, and my voice broke. Son, I need to tell you something. Zara's singing grew softer but didn't stop. I need to tell you that I'm scared. I'm so damn scared of losing you, that I've been trying to fix this with money and doctors and technology, but I never just told you how much I love you, how proud I am of you, how sorry I am that you felt like you had to be strong for me all these years. I reached for his hand, the way I had hundreds of times over the past 7 weeks, but this time it felt different. This time, I wasn't trying to will him back to consciousness. I was just connecting. Your mama would be so proud of the man you're becoming. I continued, and the tears came freely now. She'd be proud of your kindness, your wisdom, your beautiful heart. And Adrian, it's okay to miss her. It's okay to be sad. You don't have to carry that alone anymore. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I could have sworn I felt the slightest pressure from his fingers. I need you, son, not to take care of me, not to be strong for me, but just, I need you. I need your laugh and your terrible jokes and your philosophy questions at breakfast. I need you to argue with me about which movies to watch and which charities to support. I need my boy. Zara's singing grew even softer, becoming almost a hum, and in that near silence I heard it. The faintest whisper. Dad? I looked up sharply. Adrian's eyes were still closed, but his lips had moved. I was sure of it. Adrian? Son, can you hear me? Nothing for a long moment, and then, clearer this time. I'm tired, Dad. I know, buddy. I know you are. You've been so strong for so long. Is Mama waiting for me? My heart stopped. Adrian, no. No, son. Your mama wants you to live. She wants you to have the most amazing life, full of love and adventure and all the books you can read. She's not waiting for you. She's cheering for you. Zara's humming had become barely audible, but I could still feel its warmth in the room. Can I stay? Adrian's voice was getting stronger, clearer. Oh God, yes. Please stay. Please don't leave me. I missed her so much, Dad. Every day I missed her so much and I didn't want you to see. I know, son. I know. We'll miss her together from now on, okay? You don't have to carry that alone. Slowly, like watching the sunrise, Adrian's eyes fluttered open. They were unfocused at first, confused. But when they found my face, they filled with tears. Dad? I'm here, buddy. I'm right here. He tried to sit up, but 7 weeks of unconsciousness had left him weak. I helped him, pulling him into the tightest hug of my life. I love you so much, Adrian. So damn much. I love you too, Dad. We stayed like that for a long time, just holding each other and crying. For joy, for relief, for Sarah, for all the pain we'd carried separately. When we finally pulled apart, I turned to thank Sarah. She was gone. Where did she go? Adrian asked, looking around the room with clearer eyes. You saw her? The girl with the beautiful voice? She was singing to me in my dreams. She told me it was time to come home. I searched every corridor, every floor of that hospital. I asked every nurse, every security guard, every doctor. No one had seen a young girl matching Zara's description. The security footage showed me entering Adrian's room alone. That evening, there was no record of anyone else coming or going. But Adrian was awake. After 7 weeks of medical mysteries and failed treatments, my son was awake, alert, and by the next morning, asking for pancakes. The doctors called it miraculous. Dr. Kane said she'd never seen such a complete and rapid recovery from Adrian's condition. David Rothschild's team ran every test they could think of, but Adrian's brain showed no signs of the trauma that had put him in that state. It was as if he'd simply been sleeping. Adrian recovered fully within a week, better than fully, actually. The sadness that had shadowed him since his mother's death seemed lighter somehow, not gone but transformed into something he could carry without drowning in it. We started grief counseling together, and for the first time in 5 years, we talked openly about Sarah, about how much we missed her, about how proud she would be of us. But Zara haunted me. Who was she? Where had she come from? How had she known exactly what to say, exactly what Adrian needed to hear through me? I spent months investigating, hiring private detectives, searching through hospital records and local schools. I found nothing. It was as if she had simply materialized when we needed her most, and vanished, just as mysteriously. Until 3 months later, when I was reading the local newspaper and saw a small article about a young girl who had gone missing from a group home across town. The accompanying photo stopped my heart. It was Zara. According to the article, she'd been in the foster system since she was 8, moving from home to home. The group home director described her as special, a girl who had an unusual gift for comforting other children, who seemed to know exactly what people needed to hear. She'd disappeared the same night she'd appeared in Adrian's room, and despite extensive searches, no trace of her had been found. The article mentioned that she was known for her singing voice and for never wearing shoes, preferring to go barefoot regardless of the weather or circumstances. I contacted the group home immediately, speaking with the director, Mrs. Patterson, an elderly woman who'd worked with foster children for over 30 years. Zara was extraordinary, she told me over the phone. In my 3 decades of working with these kids, I've never met anyone like her. She had this way of knowing when someone was hurting, even if they hid it well. The other children adored her. She'd sing them to sleep when they had nightmares, comfort them when they cried for parents who weren't coming back. Do you have any idea where she might have gone? Mrs. Patterson was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Blackwood, can I ask why you're looking for her? I told her everything. About Adrian, about that night in the hospital, about the miracle of his recovery. When I finished, I heard her crying softly. That sounds exactly like something Zara would do, she whispered. She always said she could hear when people needed help, especially children. We used to joke that she was our little angel. I need to find her. I need to thank her. And I want to help her. I want to give her a real home, a real family. Mr. Blackwood, Mrs. Patterson said gently, we've been searching for Zara for months. The police, social services, volunteers, we've looked everywhere. It's like she just vanished. But I want you to know something. In the weeks before she disappeared, Zara kept talking about a boy who was lost in the dark and needed to find his way home. She said she was going to help him. I think maybe she knew she was going to find your son. After that call, I couldn't stop thinking about Zara and all the other children like her, kids in the system who had extraordinary gifts, extraordinary hearts, but no one to nurture them, kids who, like Zara, might disappear into the cracks of society's safety net. That's when the idea came to me. I established the Zara Foundation 3 months later. It's a program dedicated to finding and supporting gifted children in the foster care system, not just academically gifted, but emotionally gifted. Kids who have that rare ability to heal others through music, art, storytelling, or simple human connection. The foundation operates differently from traditional charity organizations. Instead of just providing money, we create families. We match these special children with carefully vetted families who understand their gifts and can help them flourish. We provide music therapy, art programs, and most importantly, we teach the power of stories, how sharing our deepest truths can heal not just ourselves but others. Adrian, now fully recovered and more vibrant than ever, helps me run the foundation. He has a particular gift for connecting with the kids, understanding their pain in ways that surprise even the professional counselors we work with. In our first year, we've helped place 43 children in loving homes. We've seen kids who were labeled difficult or troubled bloom into confident, caring young people when given the right environment and unconditional love. But we're still looking for Zara. Every child who comes through our program, I ask them if they've heard of her, a girl with a beautiful singing voice who goes barefoot and seems to know exactly what to say to hurting hearts. Some of the kids nod knowingly, tell stories of a girl who helped them through their darkest nights in group homes or foster families that didn't work out, but no one knows where she is now. I've come to believe that maybe Zara isn't meant to be found in the traditional sense. Maybe she's one of those rare souls who appears when she's needed most and disappears when her work is done. Maybe she's out there right now, in another hospital room or group home or shelter, singing to someone who needs to hear that they're not alone. But I keep looking, and I keep hoping, because Zara saved my son's life. Yes, but more than that, she taught me something invaluable about the power of connection, about the miracles that can happen when we open our hearts and speak our deepest truths. Adrian and I talk about her often. He's convinced we'll see her again someday, when we need her most, or when she needs us. I'm not sure what I believe about fate or angels or divine intervention, but I know this. That night in the hospital changed everything for us. It taught me that love isn't just about providing for someone or protecting them from pain. Real love is about being brave enough to be vulnerable, to share your fears and your needs, to let the people you care about carry some of your burden just as you carry theirs. It taught me that healing doesn't always come from medicine or technology or wealth. Sometimes it comes from a barefoot girl with a beautiful voice who reminds us that we're not alone in our pain. And it taught me that miracles don't always look like what we expect. Sometimes they look like a 12-year-old foster child who slips through locked doors and security systems to sing lullabies to sleeping souls. The foundation continues to grow. We've expanded to 5 cities now, and we're planning to go national within the next 2 years. Each child we help find a family, each success story we witness, feels like a small tribute to Zara and the gift she gave us. Adrian is applying to colleges now. He wants to study psychology and music therapy inspired by his experience and by the work we do with the foundation. He's written his college essay about that night in the hospital, about the girl who taught him it was okay to be sad, okay to need people, okay to come home from the dark places our minds sometimes take us. I still go to that hospital sometimes, to the room where it all happened. I've donated funding for a new children's wing, and I always make sure to visit room 314, where Adrian lay for 7 weeks and where Zara worked her miracle. The nurses there know me now, know the story. Sometimes they tell me about their own unexplained recoveries, about patients who seemed beyond hope until someone, often a child or young person, appeared and somehow made the difference. They tell these stories in hushed, reverent tones, the way people talk about sacred things. I've learned to listen to these stories differently now. Before Zara, I would have dismissed them as coincidence or wishful thinking. Now I know better. Now I know that healing comes in many forms, and some of the most powerful healers walk among us unrecognized, carrying nothing but open hearts and voices that sing truth into the darkness. As I finish telling you this story, I want you to know that Adrian is thriving. He's 18 now, heading to Stanford in the fall with a full scholarship. He still reads philosophy at breakfast, still argues with me about movies, still has that laugh that lights up every room he enters. But more than that, he's learned to carry his sadness without drowning in it, to ask for help when he needs it, to be beautifully, bravely human. And sometimes, late at night, when he thinks I'm not listening, I hear him humming. It's a melody I recognize, the same one Zara sang that miraculous evening. When I hear it, I smile and say a silent prayer of gratitude for barefoot angels and the power of love to call our lost souls home. The search for Zara continues, but I've realized that maybe the real miracle isn't finding her again. Maybe the real miracle is that she exists at all. That in a world full of darkness and pain and seemingly impossible situations, there are still people like her. People who show up when hope seems lost, who remind us that we're not alone, who sing us back to life with nothing but love and truth, and the kind of courage that changes everything. If you're out there, Zara, if you can somehow hear this story, know that you saved more than just Adrian's life that night. You saved mine too. You taught a broken father how to love without fear, how to hope without desperation, how to trust in miracles that come disguised as barefoot children with voices like angels. And to anyone listening who might be carrying sadness too deep for words, who might be lost in the dark places of their own hearts, remember this: you are not alone. Somewhere out there is someone who understands your pain, someone who knows exactly what to say to call you home. Sometimes they come as doctors or therapists or family members, and sometimes, if you're very lucky, they come as barefoot girls who sing lullabies and remind you that love is always stronger than despair. Keep listening for that song. Keep watching for those unexpected angels, and most importantly, keep believing in the power of connection, in the miracle of truth spoken with love, in the possibility that even in your darkest hour, someone is out there ready to sing you back to life. Because that's what Zara taught us, that miracles aren't about breaking the laws of nature or defying medical science. Miracles are about hearts calling to hearts across the darkness, about love refusing to give up, about the mysterious ways that wounded souls find exactly what they need to heal. The foundation grows stronger every day, touching more lives, creating more families, proving over and over again that when we lead with love and truth and the courage to be vulnerable, impossible things become possible. And somewhere out there, I know Zara is still singing, still walking barefoot through the world, still appearing when she's needed most, still reminding broken hearts that they are worthy of love, that they are not alone, that there is always, always a way home. That's her gift to the world. That's her gift to us all. And Adrian and I will spend the rest of our lives paying it forward, one child, one family, one miracle at a time.